Ball is out of here.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome in to Breaking the Bank, episode 43, ahead of the biggest Phillies series, arguably in the last decade here, live from State College, Pennsylvania. My name is Brendan Ricciardi. I'm joined in Delco, Pennsylvania by Drew Robinson. Drew, we got a big one coming up tonight.
I know. I'm just trying to keep myself relaxed because it is going to just get my heart beating. I'm going to be just too excited.
This is legitimately the closest I've felt like it's the day of a playoff game since the last Cardinals series back in 2011. Like the excitement, just knowing that they're playing like a meaningful game at this point in the year is just better than anything we've had in a while.
Yeah, man. Like these past couple of weeks, I've been working on my please God, just give us a chance to get to the playoffs beard. You know, I'm just really, I want to watch playoff baseball in Philadelphia so bad.
It's been a little bit since we've been on the mics here. We got adult stuff we got to do. Not as much fun as the summer, right?
No, not at all. Getting really close to actually starting work, so that's going to be interesting.
First day of the rest of your life, man. You're washed up.
Yeah, I'm very washed up.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we get into the Phillies talk today, let's just really quickly just take a look at what's going on around the entire league right now, because the American League playoff race is getting absolutely crazy. So we'll start over there. The Tampa Bay Rays have easily won the AL East. They'll be the one seed, the playoffs, taking on whoever wins the wild card game. The Astros probably will end up winning the Central, and the White Sox have, or excuse me, the Astros will probably end up winning the West, and the White Sox have already won the Central. But the wild card race is getting absolutely nuts because the Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays, and Mariners are all within a game and a half.
I am all in on this five-way tie dilemma. I know it's getting less and less feasible, but just the madness would be amazing. How many games would they have to play to sort that out?
I don't know if it would legitimately have to be like a round robin or something, because they've never had to deal with anything like this before. But it's been 10 years since that 2011 last night of the year where not a single playoff matchup was decided going in. We could be in store for something absolutely crazy like that again.
Could you imagine? I mean, I'm not going to put anything past Rob Manfred. I would be absolutely terrified if he decided to go, oh, we're just going to go off of total runs scored. And just like imagine all the pitchers who love baseball just hearing that. It would be insane.
He would absolutely make a last-second decision. They didn't even announce the playoff format for last year until like halfway through the year. So I would not put it past them to do that. But regardless, it's going to be a very, very busy week. I think that if I had to pick one team that I would feel somewhat comfortable, it's probably Boston, because they play Baltimore and Washington this week, which is way easier than anybody else has to do.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, Boston feel a little more like calm than us because, you know, we have to play just like the easiest people over these past 2 weeks. And it's just been embarrassing watching the type of performances we put out there some days.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever hear the word strength of schedule and think about it the same again, because that's all we heard throughout the second half of the season. But the playoff race in the National League is not quite as interesting, except the NL West is kind of still up for grabs. The Giants have been leading basically the entire season. The Dodgers have kind of always just been like lurking this whole time, but that's going to be big because you don't want to have to play a card game.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be really interesting. I want to see how the wild card shakes out. The Cardinals might make a run, like an absolute run.
It was weird that before the season, I picked them to win it all. And all year, that looked horrible. Like they were not in a playoff spot the entire season. And in that article, I think I picked them over the Dodgers because I'm like, every couple of years, they're due for one of these runs where they're really not that good, but they're just better than everybody else, like for a short time period. So I don't know. When things start to get weird, somehow the Cardinals always just end up winning.
Well, they're St. Louis is a fantastic baseball city. So, like, you know, the fans pretty much deserve it. I really don't like Mike Schilt, though. He gets on my nerves a lot.
Yeah, their team as a whole, it's weird. Once they added Arenado, like before the season, that's why I kind of picked them. I'm like, who's a sleeper that could actually make it? That probably won't. But either way, they're gonna have to play a one-game wild card. They might have to face Scherzer.
Yeah, and Scherzer has been just red hot down the stretch. He has been disgusting. Like, I want there to be MVP cases made for him, even though it makes no sense. But just because of the stretch that he's been on, it's preposterous.
Yeah, if they end up winning the division, I don't know why not, but hopefully we'll have our guy there. Elsewhere, the Brewers have won the Central. That was kind of decided a little while ago. And to get back on track with us here, we currently trail the Atlanta Braves by 2.5 games. So let's start moving into the Phillies talk here so we can kind of set the scene for this series coming up. So we had the Pirates series last week with just a bunch of outrageous baseball, coming back from 6-0 down, then the next night having another comeback. Ranger Suarez throws a Maddox, and then right when you're feeling good, go for the sweep, you get destroyed on Fan Appreciation Day.
That is the worst. That is the absolute worst. That shows that in Philadelphia, we cannot have nice things. Like, we're going to have a great day for the fans, and no, we're not. We're going to lose pretty poorly to the Pirates.
Poor Hans Kraus. First pitch of your major league career is a homer. I mean, you can say cliche, it'll only get better from there, but that's a tough scene. He rebounded pretty well, though.
Yeah, no, that is a very tough scene. You got to think that, like, Cole Tucker knew it. He's like, this guy's going to just toss me an easy one right here. And it's kind of mean, but I can't hate on the grind right there.
I saw there was actually a tweet. He was talking to some celebrity. I forget if it was an athlete or someone in like pop culture. And he was saying something like, how it all starts tomorrow on the first pitch because he knew he was leading off. So he, like, in a way, kind of called a shot, but it was more of just like the metaphor, like, we're going to be ready from the jump.
Oh,
But it
that's
was
pretty
kind of
nuts.
funny. Yeah.
But
So
it's
that was
wild.
impressive.
That man Hans is the most Cali player I think we've ever had here in Philadelphia. We've had Cole Hamels. He was Hollywood. Chase Utley was a little bit California. I think Brogdon gives me big Cali vibes, but Hans is just – you look at him, he's got the tats, the blonde hair, and the mustache. And it's like, this guy just lives for, like, Santa Monica.
He just put the surfboard down and just came out to pitch, like back to back. Yeah, no, he's an interesting guy. And it's funny that he had to make his MLB debut with a week left in a major playoff race in a major market city as well.
Yeah, but it makes me feel good, though, because that means we actually got a young, somewhat promising pitcher in return for Spencer Howard, in addition to, Gibby, who I love, and Kennedy, who sometimes I like, sometimes
Oh, let's see. We got a comment here. It's going to be a good game, but for us to win the East, we have to sweep Atlanta. Yeah, that's pretty much the only way around it because you kind of can't rely on the Mets to take care of business against the Braves if you were to drop a game. It's a lot to ask to go into sweep, but they made their own bed by dropping games. You go back to the series in the past. You get swept by the Diamondbacks. You win even one's against the Orioles, one's against the Pirates that you lost. Like, they dug their own grave here, so now they got to come out. But hopefully Wheeler can kind of get us on the right note here. But we'll talk about a little bit more about that later.
Not to mention, though, our track record versus the Marlins, just not good, not promising. And I would really like to see Syndergaard is making his debut, or not his debut. He's coming back tonight, I think. So I wonder if it would be interesting if he ends up facing the Braves and just shoves.
It's kind of crazy they're letting him get a start this late in the season when the season is already over. I don't know. I think that's very risky.
Maybe it's a confidence thing. Maybe he's just itching so bad and they want to make him feel good because it has been 2 years since he's pitched. It's the anniversary of his last outing, I think.
Yeah, that's true. If you want to get him a little something to kind of take into the off season, that would be good. All right, let's get into a little more details of this Phil series here. So I think the most impressive performance we kind of have to start with is Ranger Suarez because he threw a Maddox, 97 pitches, complete game shutout. It was arguably the Phillies' best start of the year. If not, it's up there.
Yeah, no, definitely up there. Honestly, yeah, he's the only one who threw a Maddox this year, so it's got to be the Phillies' best start without a doubt. He just didn't have the K numbers, I think, that Wheeler did in his one because he was just dicing people. But I am a huge Ranger Suarez guy. I love the confidence that he goes out there and pitch. He's just the Terminator. He's got, he's a machine.
And I think that he has more than solidified the opportunity to be in the rotation next year. He's been the lefty that they've been needing for a long time now. He's shown that you don't have to throw upper 90s to be successful as long as you're, hitting your spots and locating the way that you have to. But he has done an unbelievable job. The fact that they have switched him from so many different roles throughout the course of the season, and he has just been excellent in all of them, just kind of shows like his toughness to be able to do those things.
I absolutely love the kid. He just, and he always has the same expression on his face, and that's how you know you have a cold killer on the mound. And that's the type of people I live to watch play. I would live to watch pitch.
Let's see. We got a question here. Who are our 3 starting pitchers for this series? So we got Wheeler going tonight, which is hopefully a good chance to get them off to a good start. Then we got Nola going tomorrow, and then Gibson going on Thursday. So on paper, Suarez has been the best starter of late, but it's your supposed 1-2-3. It's what the rotation's 1-2-3 is supposed to be, and they have to pitch like it. Thankfully for Nolan, a September start, at least it's somewhere warm. So hopefully he can channel his southern roots here and perform well.
Yeah, but I've watched him have some pretty bad outings down there in the Braves Stadium. So I'm not confident. Like, I think you had recommended even do we try and bump guys up? Like, if we bumped Gibby up a game, bumped Ranger up to the third game, I would love to see something like that because those are hot pitchers and those are going to be frustrating pitchers for that lineup to face.
Yeah, people keep talking about it would be Suarez on short rest, but he pitched on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the 5th day of that would be Thursday. So if you move them up, unless they need to have Ranger have that extra built-in day of rest, I don't see why they couldn't just move him up.
Also, he just has so much. I'm going to say guts. He's got absolute guts, and I think he would want the ball really bad in that situation. I think he would give us a fantastic outing.
Yeah. I guess just they believe in Nola. He's done a lot of good things for the franchise over the time, and they don't want to mess up the schedule. So whatever demons he has, we've seen it so many different times in the past with all different types of athletes where every playoff demon that has followed you around can all be absolved in one start. If he goes out and throws a complete game shutout on Tuesday night, I promise you'll never hear about his September demons again if they were to make the playoffs because it's I think another good example of that was like David Price was always labeled as a playoff choker. Then what happened? He went out and won a World Series with Boston was a big reason why, and just nobody talks about it anymore. Same with Kershaw.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely for sure. And not to mention the fact that Kershaw's argument was pretty loaded because he had to face the cheating Astros. They didn't swing at his curveball, which is the most preposterous thing that's ever happened. But one of the things that I think is like really good, I actually, he let up 6 runs his last outing, Nola, but I really believe he pitched well. I think he got screwed by his defense. I think Andrew McCutchen, if he makes that catch out in left field on a bloop by the pitcher, that game is completely different. I knew he was going to end up still getting the win, though, because he was dicing people right after that.
I do agree with that, but I will say when you have the pitcher 0-2, you got to find a way to just bury him. And that was just an unlucky bloop single that kind of spiraled. But if he either puts him away or just gets him out, that's an entirely different game.
Yeah, or I mean, like someone's got to call a better pitch than that. He threw him 3 fastballs, but like I'm still very mad at Kutch because on a pitcher who's never hit before, he was playing him deep. Like he should be way in on him, especially to his opposite side. It's unacceptable.
Yeah. All right, let's see what else we got here. I think another thing that I wanted to talk about is I think Matt Vierling has earned the right, maybe not to start every single day, but to get more than one row and to be more than just a platoon player because he had a huge day on Saturday and then Joe sits him on Sunday. And I just think they're looking too much into matchups when Odubel just hasn't been good enough to warrant starting and getting the benefit of the doubt every time.
Yeah, and Vierling, well, first of all, he just hits piss missiles. He only hit 1 home run so far, but he just absolutely goes high velo, strokes balls when he gets hits. And the other thing is he can play first, center, and left field. We have questionable guys in all of those positions, so it's pretty easy to always have him in the lineup.
Yeah, I know that Brian Stumpf would absolutely love having Matt Vierling in that batting cage. All he does is just hit rockets to all different sides of the field. Doesn't matter where the pitch is, he's going to find a way to drive it. I don't really see him, I feel like he might be able to add a little more power, but like I don't want him to change that launch angle. He's just, he's a spray chart machine.
Yeah, that's all. I love a hitter like that. I mean, Segura is the same type of hitter, and I would never replace Gene Segura or tell him to hit any differently. You have to have guys like that, and then you balance it with other guys who go boomski. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah, gotta have. Yeah, that it all goes back to Hoskins not being in the lineup. I mean, he was so important for them throughout the course of the season. If they win the division without him, that's very impressive. But Vierling has more than earn the opportunity to keep going in center field as often as possible. All right, let's get to another guy here. I wanted to talk real quick about a guy that I think gets way too much hate just in general, which is Hector Neris. Listen, he's not a great closer. I don't really think that's too much of a, like a bold statement, but he's an incredible setup, man.
Yeah, no. When I went to the game against the Rockies, I went on 9/11. There's a guy behind me who's just like, Hector Neris can only pitch the eighth inning. You cannot put him in any other situation. He's fantastic in the eighth. Don't let him have any other role. And I was like, you know what? This guy's on to something.
Closing is so mental. It's not even funny. And some guys just, they don't respond well to like that level of pressure. Some guys, if they had went out and signed like Mark Melancon in the offseason or something, I know he just blew that game to the Braves the other day, but they'd probably be like 10 games over 500 or 10 games above the Braves in first place at this point. I mean, they have the MLB record blown tied at this point. One more. We got 6 games left to get one more.
Yeah, I mean, Melancon's been great this year. It's actually amazing. But I think one of the biggest issues with Hector is I don't think having only 2 pitches is a bad thing, but sometimes he's literally just sitting there trying to outsmart people like, fastball, watch this. I'm going to throw another fastball. And then they're like, well, I'm just going to rip that one. Like, it's just too much trying to play the guess not game.
Well, at least unlike some of the members of this bullpen named Jose Alvarado, he knows where the ball's going most of the time.
Yeah, I know. I saw Jose Alvarado paint for like 2 batters recently. And I was like, that's amazing. I wish he could do that all the time. Like the next batter, I think he hit someone. It's bad.
I don't know if my heart could take watching him in a playoff game, knowing that he's either going to strike out the side or walk the bases loaded.
He has all the potential in the world. We just need him to focus up on throwing strikes. If he threw the same type of pitches, just 3 miles per hour slower, but with paint, that would be amazing.
Yeah. He's basically the Dave Moore of the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, that's a claim.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. All right. So I think one thing I pretty much just want to kind of get into is the most clutch player on this team. His name is Ronnie Baseball, and all he does is deliver. He was coming off like a 1-for-25 stretch, and in the 2 biggest pinch hit spots, he has raised his average to over 500 pinch hitting this year.
Yeah, no, he's a dog as a pinch hitter, not even to mention the fact that he's driven in out of his like 30-something RBIs. Half or more have been in situations where we need to tie it or get the lead. Like, that's just unbelievable clutchness.
I've seen people on Phillies Twitter saying that if Torreyes is still on the roster next year, that's like a failure on Dave Dombrowski's part. I'm like, listen, he doesn't have to be a starter for you, but if you want a pinch hitter that can play position in the infield, deliver big hits, and he's your guy, you can find other power bats elsewhere. But he absolutely has at least a chance for a role in this team. You don't want him if he's starting a lot of games, and that's a problem.
Yeah, and he had a really good year this year, and he's going to raise his salary from $500,000 to $750,000. Like, he's fantastic, cheap talent.
Yeah, I think that he's more than a chance to compete for a spot on the bench next summer. But I don't know. I think that if he's still on the team next year, that's perfectly fine with me. But let's get to, I think pretty much what I want to do here is kind of just talk about some things in this Braves series that kind of have to go right in order for us to win here. I think one thing that I'm really interested in is to see if they can get off the hot starts, because if you get behind 6-0 to a team like Atlanta, it's over. I think one thing they really have to emphasize is just, even if it's just 1 run, just try to get on the board in the first or second inning.
Yeah, totally agree with you there. And I also really don't like this team when they get off the hot starts and then take their foot off the gas. Like, that always is the most frustrating, when they score 2 runs and then they don't score again for like 4 innings. You can't have that. You got to go back to the old, like, Little League, junior legion mentality. You got to win every inning. We got to go out there and score all the time.
Yeah, I think the best game that this team has played this year was probably when they beat the Brewers like 12-0 in Milwaukee when Wheeler pitched. I think it was probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago. They got out to an early start in the first inning, but every inning they just kept adding 1 or 2, and then finally they could bury them later in the game. They just need to find a way to get on the board early. It'll also just calm the nerves. This game is much bigger for us than Atlanta in the sense of they can afford to lose 1 or 2 and still be away. Their margin for error is a lot less. So I don't know. I think that getting off to a good start with Wheeler he's kind of the guy when he gets that lead, he knows that it's go time.
Oh yeah, no, Wheeler is an absolute like bulldog ace in the sense that he's that guy that he talks to you in the third inning. He's like, all I need is one, boys. You get me one, we win, and I love it. I just think he's going to have a great outing. I think that he's not the one to be concerned about. It's literally everyone else on the roster.
Yeah. So we've talked a little about Wheeler. We've talked a little about Nola. Let's talk a little bit about Kyle Gibson because he hasn't been incredible since we traded for him. He had a pretty good start when he got here in the first couple games. I think it was probably like early August, like that Mets game. And he hasn't been what they've, I guess, paid to give up for him. But he has been very consistent in the fact that he goes deep into games. But that last start against the Pirates, they ended up winning. But we need a little bit more from him, and he just needs to keep the ball down.
Yeah, for sure. He needs to keep the ball down. He needs to stick to his roots. That's just something I think has been a big issue. Him and Nola are both control pitchers, and they just get hurt. They pitch like a great game 90% of their pitches, but those 10% gets them absolutely screwed.
And we also have to kind of think about the fact that Kyle Gibson, how many big games has he really pitched in? Because he was kind of stuck in Minnesota for a long time. And I only think they made the playoffs maybe once or twice while he was there. So I'm curious how he's going to respond to this. This isn't like a criticism of him. I'm just generally wondering because some guys, when they finally get that opportunity to do that, is when they show out. But also some guys, the moment's kind of big for them. So I'm wondering how he's going to react.
And then 0 appearances means also 0 ERA, even though it doesn't, but it does.
It's is it infinity or is it 0? No,
I think it's
just a dashes.
It's just nothing.
Yeah. But is also going to need to step up a little bit here. We have seen much better from JT Realmuto lately because for a while it just felt like every single clutch spot he came up in, he just couldn't deliver. But he had the one game against Pittsburgh where he came off the bench and went 3 for 3 with 4 RBIs. So I think potentially we could see him turn the corner because we need him to produce this series if Harper is going to kind of get pitched around like he has been lately.
I feel like this is really me roasting JT mechanically all of a sudden. His bat speed just bothers me because, all of his home runs go to right field. And that tells me that he doesn't get around on the ball and that when he faces like big pitchers who can mix up the speed and that fastball seems that much faster, he's just not on it. And I think he gets like screwed that way.
I'm genuinely wondering if his injury is worse than he wants to say because I know he's kind of learned the Harper way where nobody wants to hear you complain about injuries. So even if you're hurt, they are the type of people, some people will say like, why are you playing hurt when someone else could be out there? But they're the same people that would say, suck it up and play. He's trying to suck it up and play. He knows that people don't want to hear the excuses, but it is weird because when he came here, he pulled a lot more balls to left field and had a lot more power to left field. So I don't know. I genuinely don't know if he's hurt or if it's just something with strength in general, but it's definitely a different hitter than we saw.
Yeah, it's his wrist, right? Like that's what's been bothering him this entire year.
Yeah, I think it was something with his wrist.
Yeah, a wrist on top of what he already had like a broken thumb to start the year. His hands are probably just really weak, and that'll kill you for bat speed. So I love the idea, like him trying to be an Iron Man and playing through it, but that probably is bothering him in that aspect.
Yeah, we've also seen a lot better from Didi Gregorius over the past couple of weeks. He had the big homer against the Pirates. Apparently, did the old Ryan Philly and they got the left-handed slider machine out, and Didi was using it for like 45 minutes before the game. And then he got that pitch from Shreve, and he had the go-ahead homer. So I don't know. It worked for us, but we used it too.
It did. And I'm just amazed at the fact that like he just took a high and outside pitch. And he's like, yeah, I'm Didi Gregorius. I only pull the ball. And he pulled that high and outside pitch for a shot.
I genuinely believe we are going to see him do it at some point. I always felt the same way with Ben Revere, a little throwback name for you. I'm like, he's going to homer at some point. He has to. Like, he's not going to go his whole career without hitting one. And then when he finally hit one, that was unbelievable. But yeah, no, it's just I think he's got to have an Oppo one at some point in his career. You can't go the whole career without doing that.
I mean, I could buy it, man. I could really see it. His swing is just not built to go that way.
No, but at least he knows the pitches to pick out and whatnot. But he needs to have a big week because we already know what he is defensively, and it's not great. So if he is able to just have some big knocks for them, they're missing their their cleanup hitter in Hoskins, and they just need someone else to step up. Whether it's him, maybe Andrew McCutcheon. He's played in playoff games in the past. They need someone besides Harper to have a big week.
Totally, totally. And I'm concerned that, Harper's been having an absolute amazing season. And I'm just hoping that all of a sudden he doesn't have his one rough week in a long time right now. Because that would be so deflating. That would be the worst way that this year could end.
And you know that all eyes are on him because the MVP race, which weirdly enough has almost seemed like it's turned into him versus Juan Soto, not him versus Fernando Tatis Jr., which I did not see coming a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about Harper, second half of the season, Soto has just been just as disgusting. I would love to see those two just have a home run derby between themselves sometime because their swings are both just beautiful. I love Soto's swing. I hate that he's a division rival because he has the best swing I've seen in so long.
Yeah, him and Acuna are always the guys where I'm like, if they were on basically any other team besides them or the Mets, I'd probably already have their jersey at this point. I don't see why people wouldn't like them.
No, for sure. Well, I mean, there are reasons people don't like Soto. Old heads, not a big fan of the Soto shuffle.
The crotch grab, yeah.
Yeah.
I still can't believe Fox just made him stop doing that for the World Series. Maybe it wasn't Fox. Maybe it was somebody.
I didn't know that Fox made him do that. That's actually wild.
I mean, who else would it be? Do you think, Dave Martinez was just like, don't do that?
I don't know. I really don't know, but he was still giving the stare downs. He was shuffling around, so that was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's get back on track here. So there's some transaction news here. Alec Bohm and Connor Brogdon are both back up. I think that Bohm, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like a big pitch hit or something is coming. I feel like he can kind of do basically like what I did during the Delco League season, just be bad the entire time. But once it counts, do something cool, and people will remember that. So I don't know. I think he's due for a big pinch hit and maybe to start a couple games after that.
First ever home run came in Atlanta. Lightning can strike twice, but also I just Luke Williams hasn't been impressive either. So I think this is a very low risk, low reward type of move if he doesn't do anything. Everyone wants Bohm to be the Bohm of last year, but as long as he just looks better, especially versus fastballs, if he gets beat on 3 fastballs anytime during the series, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, we may never get the Bohm of 2020 again, but he also hit 340, which is unsustainable for the course of the season. But we don't even need him to be a superstar. We just be productive, come up with maybe a big hit or two. And it seemed like in his last couple of games down in the minors, he's starting to get the extra base hits up, which is big for him because if you're as tall as you are, if he is as tall as he is, he needs to be able to have more power than he has now.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's also just so skinny. He needs to put weight on in the offseason. When he came into spring training, I thought he was looking bigger, but he just really isn't that much bigger.
Now we gotta get him in Eric Hollingsworth in the morning to put some meat on.
Yeah, for sure, and just eating metrics bars with every meal or something. Get those calories up.
Yeah, you'd think from being where he's from down south, they'd have good cooking around there, right?
Yeah, I mean they have definitely heavy cooking, but I also feel like he seems like a guy who doesn't eat that crazy, or someone who doesn't eat. Those skinny guys you see, it's can you just eat? I want to watch you eat food.
You think he's just a chicken tender and French fry kind of guy?
He does give that kind of vibe. I'm not gonna lie.
He's
the Salisbury vibe.
He's the kind of guy where he cuts the crust off the peanut butter and jellies, that kind of guy.
I don't think he's that soft. Because I think it's very soft to go no crust on your PB&J. Sorry about it, but I just there's no other explanation for why he's so freaking skinny.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully they'll take care of that in the offseason. We talked partly about Bohm, but Connor Brogdon back as well is going to be much needed now that Archie Bradley's a little dinged up. The bullpen's hanging on by a thread here, but if Brogdon can kind of give them some stability, then maybe they can make a way. They need the pitchers to go deep in the game, but Brogdon back is huge.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Excited to have him. Just if he's got that changeup working, he can be so disgusting. I really don't like. I think his cutter is a bad pitch, straight up. I don't think it's very good, and I think he could go fastball, changeup, and be more effective just doing that. Devin Williams does it all the time,
You think he'd be fine just using the 2 pitches?
literally.
All right, let's see. Let's get a quick look here at the lineup for tonight because I'm curious. So they got Herrera leading off facing, well, it's Charlie Morton, so it's a righty on the mound. So they got Herrera, Segura, Harper, JT, Brad, Kutch, Didi, Galvis, and Wheeler. I mean, that's a deep lineup. That's a fairly deep lineup that you have Didi batting 7th. I kind of wish Veerling was out there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely agree with you on that one. I think he should be out there. I love Fred Wardo though. You know, Freddie Galvis he excites me. I don't know if tonight's necessarily the move versus Charlie Morton. Like, I'm definitely more excited to watch him face Fried. I think he might tear up Fried tomorrow. Like, big time.
That is definitely more realistic, but I don't know. I don't know if they have it in them to sweep them. I genuinely don't. I mean, this whole season's been nuts that I don't think either way would really surprise me very much, but I'm kind of just intrigued at what's to come here.
Tell you what, I'm not getting my hopes up because I've gotten my hopes up so many times this season already, and I've gotten squat for it. So I would like to see them just go out there and play good baseball. Just don't embarrass yourselves to end the year.
Yeah, if you're gonna lose, put it like this: if you're gonna lose, don't just make it so free agency like, oh, that's what happens over there. Like they're in a big spot and they get shut out twice like back to back. Like at least make it worth it.
Yeah, like I'm sitting here thinking like, all right, think about all the big games we've had through the season, and I'm like, Joe Girardi's got to do something to fire the boys up tonight. I want Joe Girardi to lock himself in a room like all the way up until the first pitch, because whatever he says to them before the game makes them just pissed off and terrible at baseball. Because I really don't get it. I think they should have brought in some veterans to talk to them because whatever they have been doing like just has not worked. Maybe Nick Sirianni could fire them up.
Who do you think in that locker room? I don't even know if this happens outside of like our level of baseball, but like if there was one person that would be in like the center of the group of people like talking, trying to fire them up, like is that a Bryce thing? I don't really get that impression from him.
I feel like Bryce is quiet a lot of the time, so I feel like if all of a sudden he yelled at everyone and like got them going, I think it would be like a statement. You know, like you need sometimes that quiet guy who all of a sudden just steps up and like calls out what needs to be said, you know?
I'll say that all right, I think that Reese would be that guy if he was healthy. I could definitely see him being like a trying to get everybody fired up kind of thing. Because there's a lot of games this year where the team's just been dead and he'll get like even just like a walk or single and try and like, hype everybody up. Like try and just, get him talking or something. So I could definitely see him doing that. I don't know. I feel like Kutch is like when everybody wants to be in like a good mood, not necessarily get fired up,
Which isn't necessarily good, you know. They can't go into this good vibes because then they might just get absolutely like their doors blown off immediately.
I'm thinking Kutch is a post-game speech guy when they win.
Maybe. I don't know. Like I think Reese being there though, I think Reese going on this road trip is big. Maybe he will give the speech because injured, he wants to be there. He's gonna get everyone's heart, like get some tears going.
Yeah, maybe we're onto something. If somehow a story comes out where Hoskins like did something, then we're gonna come back to this one here and get our credit.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's pretty much all we have to talk about here. We got a big series starting in a little under an hour here from all of us here at the Delco Media Group, as well as the Painted Lines. We thank you for tuning in, and we will see you hopefully series with some good news, but if not, it will be our end of season recap. So I do not look forward to doing that one. But thank you for listening. We will see you then.